Hello and welcome to day 2 of our little talk here on hand-drawn 2D animation. Now, yesterday we talked about how the medium is made and all the long and difficult work it is to draw each frame of the film and put them on the backgrounds and whatnot. But today we're going to look at some personal recommendations of some great 2D movies that have maybe been created quite some time ago, but people still enjoy them today.
I think the good thing about animation, unlike maybe realistic live-action films, is that they do age very well, right?
Yes.
Something drawn 100 years ago could still look amazing today. I mean, look at Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, yes, exactly. It's just beautiful.
Almost 100 years old now.
Yes, exactly.
But it looks like it was made a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So at the end of today's article, you guys are going to have a nice list of animation films that you can go away and watch to really get a good feeling and understanding of how much work goes into a 2D movie. This is some homework that I'm sure you're going to enjoy.
That's right.
Reading. Hand-drawn 2D animation, an art of its own. A countless number of 2D animated films have been made over the years. Here are a few classics that are definitely worth checking out. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937. Originally, animated films were short and were usually played before the main live-action movie. Snow White was the first full-length animated film. This film was a big hit, proving that people would go and see a full-length animated movie. The Iron Giant, 1999. Although The Iron Giant didn't sell a lot of tickets, it was widely acclaimed. It's a favorite among those who love animation. It was also the first feature film directed by Brad Bird, who would go on to direct The Incredibles and Ratatouille. Spirited Away, 2001. Hayao Miyazaki has directed a collection of wonderful films. Of these, Spirited Away is often considered the crown jewel. It was released at a time when 3D animation had become wildly popular, yet it enjoyed massive success. It showed that the market for 2D animation was still there. So that's our look at 2D hand-drawn animation. We hope you have a new appreciation for this beautiful form of art.
The article begins like this. A countless number of 2D animated films have been made over the years. Let's talk about some language here before we move on. A number of is a phrase that usually means more than two, but fewer than many. However, by putting the word countless in the middle of that phrase, a countless number of something, we can use this phrase to mean a lot of things. Well, why? Because the word countless is an adjective and it means there's so many of something that we can't even count it. It basically means many, 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 many. For example, I have countless homework projects to finish by next week. I'm probably exaggerating there. I could probably count how many I have, but for the purposes of exaggeration, I'm saying the word countless here. We also saw the word animated, which yesterday we learned animation. It's a related word. Animated is the adjective form that describes a piece of media, like a film or a TV show that uses animation or cartoon drawings. You can have an animated movie, TV show, or an animated character.
That's right. The article says, here are a few classics that are definitely worth checking out. So a classic can be a noun or an adjective. In the article, it's used as a noun. And if a movie is a classic, it means it's an older movie that people still enjoy. For example, Toy Story is a movie that was made more than 25 years ago. 25 years ago, can you imagine? But people still watch it today. Many songs are also called classics. You know, bands like the Beatles, Queen, or Michael Jackson all have songs from a long time ago that people still enjoy today. An example sentence would be, Janet buys a lot of old records. She loves to listen to the classics.
Well, Janet and I have that in common. I think classics, things from maybe a few decades ago, they're the kind of things I like to listen to or watch.
Yes, exactly.
The fact that they've survived for so many years means that they've got staying power and they're good.
Yeah, right? And younger people are discovering, they're new Beatles fans every year.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Think of how many songs or movies have come out over the last 100 years. How many movies from the 50s or 60s or 70s are actually still super popular today? Maybe not a big percentage of how many were actually released. So the ones that do still enjoy popularity are classics.
Yes.
The article also used the word definitely, which is an adverb. Definitely means without doubt. Of course, 100% certainly. If something will definitely happen, you're 100% sure that thing will happen or that something is true. For example, Taipei is definitely the capital of Taiwan. I'm 100% sure this is true. Another example could be, I will definitely go to the park tomorrow, even if it's raining. Actually, this is kind of wrong. We can't really be definite about the future because anything can happen. So sometimes we use the word definitely for exaggeration. Here's an example sentence. My keys definitely aren't in my apartment, so I must have dropped them outside somewhere. The article also used the phrase check out. To check something out means to try something or to learn about something that you've already heard about. For example, to check out a restaurant means to go and try the food at a restaurant that you've heard about. To check out a movie that your friend recommended means to go and see that movie. We say check it out because you'll probably like it.
So the article talks about something that's worth checking out. Worth is an adjective. And the way it's used in the article, we use it with a pattern. So we have a be verb plus worth plus the verb and ing or something. For example, these movies are worth your time. So checking out and watching a movie takes time, and these movies are good enough that you should spend that time. For example, this song is worth listening to. This book is worth reading. This is a story worth telling. Sun Moon Lake is a place worth visiting. We can also use worth when describing a value in money. This old record is worth about 1,000 NT dollars these days. This diamond ring is worth 19,000 US dollars. This house is worth twice as much as when I bought it. So the article mentions what you were talking about before.
Spoiler alert.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937.
Wow.
Originally, animated films were short and were usually played before the main live-action movie. So they were just, 10 or 15 minutes.
Like a bonus.
Yes. The article says, Snow White was the first full-length animated film. This film was a big hit, proving that people would go and see a full-length animated movie.
I knew it was old, but I didn't know it was the first one.
Yeah, and it's amazing because we think, well, of course people would go and watch a movie for, an hour and a half or 2 hours, an animated movie. But at that time, they didn't know that was a possibility.
So before Snow White, all of the animation movies were kind of shorter in length.
Exactly.
10 to 30 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So prove is a verb, and to prove something means to show that something is true. So they proved that audiences would go and see a movie of that length. An example sentence would be, the boy said he didn't steal any candy, but video from the store's camera proved he was lying.
Right, so the proof is the evidence.
That's right.
Well, the article tells us now about another film that you can watch using 2D animation, and this is a personal favorite of mine. I cried so hard at this film. It's called The Iron Giant from 1999. Although the Iron Giant didn't sell a lot of tickets, it was widely acclaimed. It's a favorite among those who love animation. The article used a difficult word here, which is acclaimed. Acclaimed is an adjective, and something that many people think is good is acclaimed, especially if those people are professionals or experts in that field. An acclaimed movie, for example, is a movie that almost everybody agrees is good. There are very few people that don't like it. Other things than movies can be acclaimed too, like places, books, or music.
The article says it was also the first feature film directed by Brad Bird, who would go on to direct The Incredibles and Ratatouille.
I've seen those too.
Yes, me too. So to go on to do something, go on to is a phrase. It's used to describe moving on to the next step or the next thing. We often use it to describe stages in someone's job or in someone's life. For example, after high school, many students will go on to university.
Good example. Why do you think so many people like The Iron Giant? I like it because I thought the story was great and very emotional, which is sometimes rare in animations.
Yeah, I think it touches a certain nerve. There's just a certain emotional beat that it manages to capture, which is not easy to do. I think a lot of films try to hit it, but just don't quite land the same way that Iron Giant does. It just gets it right.
You know, because it's an animation, it's obviously not realistic in any way. Sometimes maybe some people might feel it difficult to connect to the characters or the story because it's so fantastical, it's animated, it's so far from reality. But even though this is a story about a boy and a giant robot, it still makes you feel emotional.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way that it's drawn and the facial like the facial expressions and the music. They managed to just turn this giant robot into such a more human character.
More human than the humans, perhaps.
That's right.
It's a great film. If you haven't seen The Iron Giant, obviously we highly recommend it. But be careful, it's sad. Unlike the next movie, which is mostly happy. It's Spirited Away from 2001, and we talked about this movie briefly yesterday. Hayao Miyazaki has directed a collection of wonderful films. Of these, Spirited Away is often considered the crown jewel. It's probably my second favorite movie by Miyazaki, after Castle in the Sky.
Yes.
The article used the word collection. Collection is a noun, and it's many things of the same type. A collection of movies is several movies of one kind, or by one director. For example, I have a huge collection of video games, and a collection of Pokemon toys too. To be a part of a collection, the things must be similar in some way, or the same kind of thing. If I have a video game and a plastic bottle, these things can't really be in a collection together because they're too different. Unless the video game was Super Mario and the bottle had a picture of Super Mario on it, then they'd be part of a collection of Super Mario stuff. Collection can also be used to refer to a group of similar things or people. Here's an example sentence. Her new album includes a collection of songs from her whole 30-year career. There are a few more words and phrases in the article that will explain. One of them is crown jewel. Now, a crown is a hat that a king or queen wears, and it's often filled with jewels like diamonds or rubies, expensive and rare stones. So what does it mean to say that Spirited Away is the crown jewel of this collection? Well, let's imagine that this collection has many movies, maybe 10 or 15 movies. By saying that Spirited Away is the crown jewel, that means it's the best example or the most impressive of that collection. It's the crown jewel. You could say maybe, I don't know, Taipei 101 is the crown jewel of Taipei's architecture. It's the most impressive and spectacular building in Taipei.
The article goes on to say it was released at a time when 3D animation had become wildly popular, yet it enjoyed massive success. it showed that the market for 2D animation was still there. So just like Snow White proved that people would go and see a full-length film that was animated, Spirited Away proved that people would still go and see 2D animation even when 3D movies were very popular. Okay, so let's explain the word release. Release is a verb, and after a movie is made, it is put into theaters or online so people can watch it. This is called releasing the movie. Release is also used to describe the act of putting music on sale. So here's an example sentence. The new Thor movie will be released next month. Are you going to watch it?
We also saw the word massive, which is an adjective. And massive is very easy to explain. It just means big, huge, giant. We can use massive to talk about something's physical size, like a massive building. We can also use massive, as the article does, to talk about something more abstract. Massive success means a lot of success. The movie was very popular and many people like it.
Yes, like me.
Like you. Many people like Jonathan. Me too.
No.
Well, back to the article. It says, so that's our look at 2D hand-drawn animation. We hope you have a new appreciation for this beautiful form of art. Well, I certainly do.
Yeah, yes.
Knowing how much work goes into this medium really makes me appreciate these movies more. Now, appreciation was the word used in the article, which is the noun form of appreciate. Appreciation means recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. The verb to appreciate means to recognize the good things about something. I appreciate good Japanese food. I know when the food is good. I enjoy the flavors and textures and the skill that it takes to make. So appreciation is the noun form. You can have appreciation for something you think is really good. We often appreciate things that take a lot of time or skill to create, like art, movies, music, food, or even people. Here's an example sentence. I have a lot of appreciation for our teacher, Mr. Roberts. He works really hard to help every student reach their goals.
And I appreciate that Reese is here to help me do this video.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too, Jonathan. And I especially appreciate all of the animators that go into making some of our favorite movies of all time.
That's right. Yes, especially.
You must be very passionate about animation if
Yes.
you are to write this article.
Yes, yeah, it was a pleasure to write it.
Yeah, I'm going to go and watch some of those movies all over again.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's all we have for this 2-day article about animation. Let's go to our For You Chat question.
You chat.
Today's For You Chat question is this. You are asked to write a story for a new 2D animated movie. What is the story about? Time to get creative, Jonathan.
All right. Well, actually, that's one of the best things I think that is great about animation is that anything you can draw, you can make a movie about.
Right.
You know, there's really no limits to what you can do. Now, it's quite common in animated movies to have animals as the main characters. And one of my favorite animals is the Chihuahua.
The dog?
Yes.
The small yappy dog? That's your favorite dog?
That's right. That's right. So, my idea for an animated movie would be to make a movie about Chihuahuas. But it's got to go a little further than that because you're not just limited in who stars in the movie. You're unlimited in where the movie can happen because, again, anything you can draw. So I think instead of just having Chihuahuas in a park or Chihuahuas in a house, I would take the Chihuahuas and put them in space. So my story would be about Chihuahuas in space.
Chihuahuas in space.
That's right.
I think I can say safely, Jonathan, that story has not been done before. You're the first person to ever think of a movie about Chihuahuas in space.
Okay, I'll go to Hollywood and pitch it.
Astronaut Chihuahuas is Jonathan's great idea for an animated movie. And as Jonathan explained, there are no limits when it comes to animation because if you can draw it, it can be real. Well, Well, that's all the time we have. You can think about this too. Maybe you can create a storyboard with your classmates for a cool new animated movie. Draw some characters and the setting as well. That's all we have. We'll see you next time. Now go away and watch some movies.
Vocabulary Review.
Classic. This novel is a classic. I can't believe you haven't read it. It's one of my favorites. Definitely. Mark's race times have definitely improved this year. He is much faster now. Prove. To prove you have passed your exam, you can show us your exam paper. Collection. There is a large collection of people outside the store, all waiting to buy the latest iPhone. Release. When the album The Velvet Underground and Nico was released in 1967, it wasn't popular. However, now many people love it. Appreciation. Tony has an appreciation for good food, so he loves to visit lots of popular restaurants.
智慧小补帖
Acclaimed. Massive.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net